exactly is the security situation in the country? Should we be worried? Do we have it under control?
I'll answer your question in three parts. First is the demand for insecurity. Second is the supply of security. And third is the obligation on citizens. Let me start with the demand for insecurity. I think we should be plain and honest about it, that as we head for the elections, there are some persons who desire to stoke up incidents of insecurity and use same for political campaigning purposes. And we are beginning to observe instances in which some persons want to hire thugs, vigilantes, commit attacks, and hope to spin it into politics. I think on Thursday or Friday, I gave indication on your network that we had received clear reports of plots to even attack some independent candidates of the MPP stock and blame it on the MPP. Just in the last 24 hours, some persons have been arrested, I think in Agona, conspiring to attack the NPP parliamentary candidate there. So there are some persons who are interested in engineering insecurity. Let me be very clear that the security agencies will clamp down very firmly on them. There's a new anti-vigilante legislation that has been passed, and it will be used to the letter on any persons or group of persons who are caught in this web. That's number one, for those who are interested in stoking insecurity. On the supply side, we have done a lot to beef up the numbers of security persons in the country, talking of the police and the military, and we've done a lot to provide them with logistics as well, and we'll continue to do same to protect the population and at-risk cohorts within the Ghanaian population. On the third part of it, which has to do with the obligation of citizens, we all have to have our eyes wide open and do well to alert the security and intelligence agencies when we hear something. We thank those who alerted the agencies in the Agona incident, but that is citizen responsibility to be alert and to share information with the security agencies so that they can act and protect us all.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Oponkruma. That's the Information Minister. Also earlier, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Abuaji, joining us tonight as we've looked at update number 18 put together by the President. I am MF Afo. Another edition will come your way next week, Sunday. Thank you so much for your company. A Walk with Jesus is up next on Joy 99.7 FM.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Come on and walk on the water with me. Come on and walk on the water with me. You will not face
Okay, so a very good evening to you here on Joy 99.7 FM, your super station, your channel of blessing, and your place of inspiration. Today, Sunday, the 18th of October, 2020. 2 minutes after the hour of 9, and this is A Walk with Jesus. We're celebrating 25 years of media excellence, and tonight we're taking a peep into the life of a veteran Christian broadcaster, Bishop Yaw Owusu-Ansah, and we're going to be sharing of his experience, 25 years, all the way, from the 90s into 2020. What have his experiences been as far as his journey on radio is concerned? And it's a joy to come your way once again on this favorite Christian infotainment program of yours, A Walk with Jesus, right here on Joy 99.7 FM. And like I said early on, we have the opportunity of hosting a father, a preacher, in fact, an institution when it comes to Christian radio broadcasting. Because trust me, he's been on radio for over 2 decades, and that is a wealth of experience, that one can share. He's known for his unique style of preaching, using his life as an example, to impact lives on radio and on the pulpit. A dynamic veteran Christian broadcaster whose award-winning social-religious programs on radio have positively influenced many lives, many people from all walks of life. He started off as a preacher on Joy FM, sitting on this very seat that I am sitting on. Before moving to Adam FM, I've had the singular privilege, of sitting in for him, stepping into his very big shoes, during the Joy Love Chapel days. And I count it a privilege. I count it, a great honor to have had those opportunities during those times. He moved on to Adam FM, and I'm talking about no other person, no other program than Adum Ahingwa, and we are blessed this night with his presence, to share with us the wealth of experience that he's had and his journey so far. Do not forget, he's the regional overseer of the Resurrection Power and Living Bread Ministries International. We'll be touching on that aspect as well, with a thunderous applause from wherever you are. I welcome the very presence and ministry of the one and only Bishop Yaw Owusu-Ansah, right here on A Walk with Jesus. Bishop, you're warmly welcome.
What a night.
How are you doing, sir?
The founder.
Oh, no, you're the big boss.
No, I'm the servant. I couldn't get that boldness to start the ministry, to have a church, to be the bishop or the general overseer. So that kind of boldness, when people take it, I salute that.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. So Bishop Yaw Owusu-Ansah is our guest tonight on A Walk with Jesus. Get your notebook ready, get your pen ready, because there are lots of lessons to learn from the life of this great man of God. And we'll be delving into discussion after this. Enjoy it.
Now
right then, so 10 minutes after the hour of 9 there, and we have right here in the studios Bishop Yaw Owusu-Ansah, and he's our guest for tonight, and we're taking a look at his journey as a veteran radio broadcaster. And he needs no introduction. He needs no introduction. Bishop Yaw Owusu-Ansah is the host of Aduma Hingwa on Adum 106.3 FM, and his journey on radio started on Joy FM. He's hosted a lot of programs on Joy FM. He was the host of Joy Laugh Chapel, the host of Prayer Line. In fact, he started Prayer Line, and I'm privileged to be hosting Prayer Line now. And then I remember a sitting on Saturday mornings, and they were so inspiring and so it was a blessing, listening to him. I've looked forward to meeting him right from my secondary school days, and I'm honored to be having him here. Bishop, you're welcome once again.
Thank you, sir.
It's quite interesting trying to welcome you into your own home,
Yeah, it do happen. At times, somebody will give birth to a child that he would not know that a child will become a king or a queen. But in the process of time and in God's own plan, that person becomes a king or a queen or a president. And when it happens that way, though you give birth to that person, but then you need to submit to that leadership mantle that God has laid on that child, which is yours. And that is one of the challenges that we have in our society, that when we give birth or we know somebody from birth, and the person rises through the process to become what God wants the person to become, then we have a problem to appreciate and to give him that honor. So I really understand, and that is why you are where you are, and I'm sitting here
where you are. Yes. I never thought of that. So Bishop, let's begin by looking at your pastoral journey. How did all of this start for you? I mean, becoming a pastor. Did you ever think that you were going to become a pastor?
Thank you very much, and for inviting me, you and your producer. And let me greet the great listeners of Joy FM. I've met so many of them, and I know some of them too. They have met me, because at times you meet some people and they ask you, "Are you still in the country? It's been a long time. Where have you been?" I said, "Well, I'm still in the same company, but because we are doing the Mochi program from Adum, I don't need to jump to Joy. Let me stick to my place which has been allotted for me to operate from." Yeah, so I greet all of them, and I thank them for their prayers from the day one till today, that the sustenance grace is by the prayer of the saints. That is why we are doing what we are doing. Coming back to your first question about ministry, actually, if anybody said to me that I will be a pastor, I will tell that person that he is lying, because why? I didn't want to be a pastor.
You didn't want to?
No.
Why?
I wanted to be a businessman to support the work of God.
Your heart was out for the work of God, but you didn't want to be the person to stand behind the pulpit.
There was that passionate desire which was in me from my childhood, that I want to have a ministry of help. And the ministry of help does not mean that you have to be a pastor. And nowadays, when people are, God give them a ministry of help, instead for them to stick to that ministry, they try to move away from that ministry to become pastors. And I didn't want to be. I was born into Catholic, and my parents were Catholics, and I wanted to be a Roman father. And my father said, no, you cannot do it. Knowing me from where I was coming from.
Where were you coming from?
I'm coming from, at the age of 11, 12, I was a very good weed smoker.
11 years?
Yes.
That's too young.
Yes, very young. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do some radical things in this life.
You were that adventurous?
Yes, I wanted to do some radical. There are certain things that I cannot talk about it on air.
On air.
That I did in those years, in my teens.
Wow.
And I was, how do I put it? In a candy say, you chose you. I did something that they have to take me out from the village where I was with my parents in the night. Yes. They clear me and they have to use broom to clear your back and say that you don't have to come back to this town. Because I did something which, like I said, I don't need to talk about it, which my parents have to buy a lot of goats and sheep
to pacify
the
I see
the kings and the idols for them to forgive me. Yeah, so from my childhood, I knew myself that I was very radical, and there were so many things that were running through my mind that I wanted to do, and to make sure that my generation will enjoy my impact. I wanted to do something that the exuberance that was in me was not into things of the gospel. But my parents were Christians, and so they were taking me to church. And so when Roman Father comes around, I will serve the Roman Father all right. But I knew myself.
So that's where the Lord saved you from.
Yes. At that age, starting the weed smoking and doing some kind of the normal things that the young people do. Yes. So it led me into so many things.
So what was the turning point? At what point did you come to?
I was then in a Shanti region, a town called Coben. And is a Trima and Carrier Twan, say also, and then you move to Saidi, then Coben, Manchia. Those that knows there,
they know. I'm sure somebody's saying, "Hey, I don't know about Sofa Bomi Group."
Yes. so when those things started, I came to Kumasi in Adwa to Prempeh College, just behind the Prempeh College. So. That is where I live with some of my friends, and I always walk and move with elderly people. Okay. And so they were one way or another. They were mentoring me into certain areas, dimensions that I've never been.
I see.
And yes, so at one time I went to work. I was a cane weaver. We were doing carpentry work, but our type of work was different from the normal carpentry work. So I got to know where they buy weed, and so I bought a lot of weed into the house. When I came home, one of my guys that always come for, they know that when I come from work, I bring weed, so they came for some. And when the guy took it, it was a strong one. I know where we buy the good ones in Kumasi. So when I brought it, and we went to Prempeh College, behind the Prempeh College, to smoke a little bit. In the bush there, I realized the guy was screaming and then calling the dead father's name, that the father is coming to arrest him, or here and there. And so people trooped into where we were to see what was going on. So when it happens, I have to run away and come and bath and clean myself and make sure that I spray myself. There's nobody will. There is a possibility that they will come and check if there is any weed on me. But so I changed myself, dress up, and pretend like I said nothing has happened. And so I was just moving with them. And then so we took the guy to a Spiritual church in Bantuma, new plant there. And that was where I realized that no, Charlie, you better give your life to Christ.
Wow.
Because then the guy was going off, and some realized that I gave him the we, and so they were pointing fingers on me. And so when we went there, and the one who's supposed to pray for the guy too was sick, and the guy said, me and my body cry me by the also for the bump my man also cry on yare. And so then I said, and so I saw from that time I decided to go to the people that we live with them in that house in Aduatu decided that there was a revival going on in Christ Apostolic Church.
Okay.
At that time, it was Reverend Francis Akwesi, that one, he was called Brother Amako, was doing a revival at the CAC. So I went there with them. And so in the process of the program, I realized that I have given my life to Christ. Though I was going to church, but as you know. So from that time, I decided not to get into those things anymore. So the passion to do evangelism was so strong in my spirit. I'll go to work, I'll sit in car, I'll sit in trotro, I'll go to Comfort Noche, and after work I have to go there. That I cannot sleep without preaching the gospel. I cannot sit in trotro so I don't take taxi. Where was money to take taxi? At that time, taxi was not a common thing. In the 80s, so I take trotro and I was stand in the trotro and preach the gospel.
Wow.
I didn't know much, but the little that I know, what I hear from men talking about, I preach it to people.
Wow.
And I see people crying in the car, and you meet them the next day, they will tell you that you are powerful because when you pray for me, this thing happened to me and this has happened. So that was
that was the beginning of ministry for you.
But that passion for a full-time or pastoral work was
still not there.
Not at all. So I was concentrating on my work. But then something came into my spirit to do. Because I used to organize guys that will smoke weed into my house. So I will put my tape in the middle of the house, and then we pray more of Bob Marley music the whole night. And so I realized that I have an ability to mobilize people and to do some events.
Wow.
And so I can mobilize people to do that. So therefore, I decided that why not? If I have given my life to Christ, and why not publicizing about this Christ? So when I see people organizing crusade and other things, I'll go for the handbills and the posters and paste it on any shirt or any trouser that I have.
You have?
Yes. And then in the morning when I'm going to work, I fix it. I dress like I'm a mad person. And so
with all the posters on you?
Yes, all posters all over me. And so when I move from house, easier for me to take a car because where I was working, I need to take a car to KJTR, from KJTR to Ahensai. But then I'll walk. And so people will look at you and say, we'll be back to Reswa Bodam. And so because I have dressed, I've put on that kind of dress, I'll have some of the handbills in my hands. So when you say that I'm a mad person, I will give one of the posters to you. So they realized so I was advertising, so my body became a billboard in a sense. And I didn't know where God was taking me to, but I was doing this. So any church that will organize a program, they will call me. Crazy Anointing, that is what they
used to call you
Crazy Anointing.
Do they still call you that?
Yes, some of my friends that still we get in touch, and they do call me Crazy Anointing.
Would you mind if after this time, anytime I see you, I call you Crazy Anointing?
As long as it's anointing.
I see. That was serious passion.
Yes, so that passion was so strong. Any event, any crusade, any revival, faith convention, Acts, resurrection, every convention that comes to Ashanti region, either I know the church or not, I'll go for the handbills and then pasted it in my dress and walk the next day in the street.
Wow.
And people would just try to talk about me.
So that's how you were propagating the gospel.
Yes.
So Bishop, how did radio come to you?
Yeah, so by virtue of that services that I was given, then Redeemer Christian Center, Nigeria.
Yes, Papa Adeboye's church.
Papa Adeboye's church came to Ghana.
Okay.
And when they came, because of this kind of services that I was given, and the man of God then, Reverend Seth Bimpon was in charge of that church that they were coming to start over here. So they called me to be part of the publicity. And I did the same thing that I talk about. And so after then they said, this gentleman, the Nigeria team with Papa Adeboye, they said this gentleman carries some kind of grace that we need to help this boy. They wanted to help me because they realized that they can communicate with me unless somebody interpreted it, because I cannot communicate with them in English.
Okay.
So
you couldn't speak English?
Not
then?
at all. Though I'm a Form 4 leaver, I completed Coben Local Authority. But then, in Ashanti, it is nowadays that we are forcing ourselves to break that kind of barrier, because even somebody has completed a university, we feel too much shy of speaking the English. We are so used to our Asante, the typical Asante tree. And so I was not fluent in communicating with them. So they decided to give me a scholarship. And so when they said that, they said to
so by this time you were under the mentor, you were under the mentorship of Papa Mwako.
No, I was a fellowship member.
Okay.
And Christ Apostolic Church member,
I
baptized
see.
in Christ Apostolic.
I see.
I was baptized in Christ Apostolic, so I was fellowshipping at Resurrection Power and Harvesters.
Okay.
And so when they said that, I said no, I'm in this ministry. So they talked to Reverend Mwako, and Reverend Mwako straight said, no, I will not let you go to Nigeria.
How did you feel?
Well, I was ignorant. I could not think through much.
Because this is a scholarship. It's a scholarship.
Yes. Scholarship.
And he said
for the
no.
first time that I saw $1 in my hands, it is when I give that service to them.
Wow.
And they said, let's give you this. And I said, for what? And I look at it, and they said, US dollar. I said, what? But then, that was not my motivation. My motivation is that I can put the posters all over me and I walk in the street and propagate any events that is coming.
And that gave you fulfillment.
Joy, happiness.
Wow.
And so when I did that, then so for my and the team said, okay, Owusu-Ansah, this kind of ministry, it is getting on and moving on. So they were coming to Accra, and they said, can I come with them and then come and do pasting of bills and posters all over? And it was my first time of coming to Accra. I have heard about Accra. I've been reading about the capital of Ghana, but I didn't know where Accra was. So when they said that, I said, okay, let me go and tell my parents. And I spoke to my senior brother. They said, okay, and they will know Moncombra, my menche. I came to Accra, and then they introduced me to few people that they will lead me. And that was the first time that I met Lawrence Tete. He was not a pastor. He was a Christian brother that, because Sofa Mwako converted him.
Oh, Dr. Lawrence Tete too.
Yes.
I see.
And so we met. And so we introduced one another to one another. And so I started, and he was leading and guiding me where we can go. And so we did the pasting of the bills and the posters and the banners. And so the crusade came on. After the crusade, I wanted to go because it was a countrywide crusade. So I have to go to Oda, Kokrentumi to do the same work. All my work is to do that kind of work.
I see.
And I was not a full-time. I was not receiving anything from the church. My service is to the banners and the posters. I do my job and I get to go. So after the crusade, they said then I should give a support to the pastors that were, they left them here. And I said, me I have to go back. And they said, no, you wait for 1 month. I waited. And after the 1 month, they said, extend it to, I said, hey, you be ready. But then I was getting that kind of desire, that inner joy to give services to them. And what was I doing? I go to the fellowship and I pack the instrument. I didn't know how to fix instruments, but because I was with them, I need to now learn how to fix the instruments. And so I've become a packer in the church, in the fellowship. That time, it was not a church. So I packed the instruments in, and those years there was a Peugeot. There were some Peugeots from Kaneshi to Circle.
Is it
the 504? Yes.
504.
So
Peugeot.
I have to get in touch with them, and every Saturday they will drive the car to where I live in Ewudome. That is where all of us were. And so they bring the car, and I pack all the instruments into the car, and I bring it to the Orion Cinema.
Wow.
I come in, so I became a packer in the fellowship. So I spent about 6 months, and I wanted to go. They said no. So Famaku would tell you, wait. I didn't know what he saw in me. I didn't know, but just wait. So I'll call my brother, and my father will call me. But then this didn't continue, and that is how I am still here. And so we started the fellowship, and in the process of time, then Living Bread came into it. So when Living Bread came, we realized that there's a station coming out. The GBC was there, and now I used to go there because of music. I was doing some kind of distributing music to them. And so this Joy FM was coming.
That was in 94?
Yes.
94.
And so it was coming, and Mrs. Totobi Kwache was a member of the fellowship and the church and the husband. So Mr. Totobi Kwache,
wife of the famous Totobi Kwache,
yes,
we know.
Yes.
I see.
And because I was a packer, I became a praise and worship leader automatically, because the one who's supposed to lead the praise and worship was not there at a certain time. And so knowing how to fix the machines, and then looking at them singing all the time, and then the gentleman didn't come, and I said, okay, let me go and try. So I took the microphone because the people were sitting there. They wanted to listen to the word of God, and so Famako was around, and so we need to start the program. So I took the microphone and I started singing. I sang about 2-3 minutes. I realized that people were crying, and then I said,
dear friend, you should hear, you should be under that atmosphere when Bishop Owusu-Ansah is leading praise and worship. It will amaze you he's the one. It will amaze you he's the one.
So, by virtue of singing in the church, Mrs. Totobi Kwache got to know me very well. I'm a praise and worship leader too. So, a pastor, a packer, and then now a praise and worship leader. And so when Joy FM, they were fixing their things and doing test transmission, he introduced me to Mr. Kosichum. I didn't know him.
Mrs. Totobi Kwache introduced you to Kosichum.
Yes.
Wow.
He introduced me that there is this young gentleman in the church that can do worship on radio. Worship on radio. How? So they asked me to come here. It took me about 2 weeks. I said I won't go.
1 month?
No, I didn't. Why? Because I realized that everything that Joy FM, GBC were always playing English, and the capital of Ghana. And I'm a typical Ashanti. Achima Sechrini. So I was thinking. So after 2 weeks, my sister to be met me again. I said, Mr. Kwesi. Mr. Chum came to the fellowship.
Your fellowship, okay.
And so we met. And they said I should come here. I came with my wife. We have then.
Oh, you had married Mama Monica
yes,
then?
We have married for few months.
I see.
And then we came. When we came, Mr. Chum introduced me to a gentleman called Samuel Atamensa.
Oh, Samens.
Yeah. And they were communicating with him in English. And my wife was looking at my face.
Why was she looking at your face?
Yes, he knows.
That's why.
She knows that I can't flow in the English.
So she was wondering how you were going to be working in such an environment.
She was just looking at my face and looking at my face. And I answered, brah, you meet me a katrika.
Sana obisa Samens.
Oh, yeah.
It's
okay. Then we started from there. I said, okay, you want to do a radio program, but what language? He said, this station is English.
English. That's what you were told.
Yes. I said, okay, my brother, for the English will be a problem. I understand what you want me to do. But what I'm very conversant with
is the tree.
If you don't mind. And some men look at me. No, I say if you know some men. Yes, that is one is correct too. Ubit me start tree, So
on joy.
And that time it was a test transmission time. So we're not doing serious business at that time. But so when he said that, I was encouraged.
Okay.
I was encouraged. So he asked me to prepare myself and come. And I saw one old friend from GBC, Kofi Chakpono.
Okay.
And so Kofi Chakpono said, Osofo, what are you doing here? And I told him, he said, oh, you Osofo. He knows me. So he said, okay, this is what you can do. Write the songs that you will use and write the messages that you will talk about on a daily basis. So when you come, you follow the pattern, and then and so it's okay. And I came. They gave me 5 minutes.
They gave you 5 minutes.
5 minutes
on joy.
So that is the time that I met Reverend Kofi Ochre.
5 minutes to do. What were you going to do with 5 minutes?
Yes, because it's 5 minutes, and so I called it.
5 minutes. We're preaching 5 minutes.
No, so within the 5 minutes, you need to put. So it was not a program that you have to play more music. Can be shenkwai. And it's only a bompire more mine, a bompire mangrove. It's my first 5 minutes. So I will prepare myself for the 5 minutes. So Reverend Ochre, Johnson Chaponu, and yes, myself. And because the time which was allotted to us, if it is a 1 hour, they have to give me 5 minutes. And so they will take the upper hand of the other
and do their English.
So when I started the 5 minutes, they realized that just within 1 week, more letters were coming in my name. So they
Bishop, what were you doing with that 5 minutes? How were you maximizing? And that will bring us to your book.
We'll be with Joy 99.7. And I pray, baby, I would dano, baby, I would jinano, baby, I would tino. He no free by. Then I take a particular scripture that will go with what I want to talk about. So it was a very straight to point, specific. You don't have too much time to joke about. So after the first 5 minutes, 1 week, then they realized that there is something in this guy. So they reduced the time allotted to my other friends. Instead for them to have more minutes, they give me 15 minutes.
From now. 5 to 15 minutes.
Yes. So the gap was then it was then growing now. It was a test transmission. So they were checking what we can do, and they were giving us some kind of mentorship, especially Samuel Atamensa. will tell you
Bishop,
what to do.
on this note, not to take the wind out of yours, there's a lesson to learn from this. You were given 5 minutes. In fact, this is an English radio station.
Yeah.
You were told that there is no way that joy would drift from the English language, but you had the opportunity to do what you could do, not in English language, but in Chi, and you were given 5 minutes to do that. What was it that helped you to be able to maximize that little opportunity? Somebody is under the sound of our voice who has been given an opportunity and is saying that, well, it's not enough. I don't have enough. I mean, people whose language is, I don't have enough. I don't have what it takes. Is there a point at which we don't have enough? Anybody doesn't have enough? What will some Is there a point at that?
One of the reasons why in this life I've never given up, and I will never give up, is any little opportunity that comes on your way, don't despise it.
Say that again, please.
Any opportunity.
No matter how small.
No matter how small. It can be like an atom, petite in French. It can be very little, but it is a little for you, and it may sound so little, but God who created the heavens and the earth, who knows everything, knows that this little thing that He has given to you is going to open wide golden door opportunities, but He will not tell you. God will never tell you that this thing that I have given, it is going to widen some opportunities for you. So you as individual, the reason why so many people are where they are and they are still marking time, they are retrogressing, is because they don't value the little opportunities that they have. They don't. I did not look at, actually, if anybody said that this radio, which I got opportunity for 5 minutes, was going to lead me into 25
years.
25 years, my brother, I would have asked them to let me go to school and learn this and that and that. But I didn't know that I would be with multimedia for 25 years.
You never dreamt it?
Never. No, how can I even thought of? I'm a Form 4 leaver. I'm a Form 4 leaver. And so when you are talking about sustainability, I don't have what it takes to keep all these things that I'm doing. And I didn't have the requisite. I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have any idea. It is not that somebody has done some before, so you look at that person and then you think that by virtue of this person, I can do it. So some of us were pioneers. And so pioneering work, it is always difficult, it is always tough, it is always expensive, it is always costly. And that is when I see today some people get opportunity and they are abusing the opportunity instead for them to preach the gospel, and they are misusing it. I become so angry because I got 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And that 5 minutes, after 1 week, one of the managers said they don't want me to come to the station anymore.
Why?
Because of the Chi. Because of the Chi language. I got to the...
No, but you were making impact.
Yes. And he said, this is a prime radio station. You are not allowed. And I said...
Were you discouraged?
Oh, yes, of course. I was. Because I drove from my home to this place. And then... Okrikumente was standing in front. And then he was chatting, talking, yeah, Bonkuba, and I said, let me go. I said, and then I'm so I think BBO, and jokingly, and what's it? Menkasa, Menkasa saying.
Okay,
so the 5 minutes, the time that I'm supposed to start, we talked, and then
it was. I mean, it ran out.
Yes. So they said you cannot come back and speak the tree anymore. And I said, who? but Mr. Chung who gave me the opportunity. And Samuel Owusu-Ansah is the one who groomed me and connected us and gave us the necessary training. And so what are you talking about? I got to go off. I went home and my wife asked me, man, and I'm saying, yeah, because there was some, almost in BIA, I didn't want my wife to be discouraged. So the next day I didn't go. The next day I didn't go. So my wife was concerned. Is there any problem? I said, no, there's no problem. We're young couples. And I didn't want to trouble her with my personal challenges. And so after a few days, then Mr. Chung asked my sister to be quiet again to call me to come because they are not seeing me in the station. And a lot of letters are coming in. And so Mr. Tobikachi talked to me and I said, me go, me. Yes, me can't me brofo. It me sanko, me koda. But then Mr. Kwesi came for me again, and then Mr. Samuel Owusu-Ansah, and they encouraged me. This life, my brother, you need, I always say, encouragement is a fuel of life. Encouragement. You get other people that will discourage you, but the one that will spend some few minutes of his or her time to encourage you, it is a fuel of life. And so, my sister Toby Kwachi, Mr. Kwesi Chum, and Samans, they encouraged me, come back. And I came. And then they extended the time. And then they said, now you can do prayer line. Now you can do this. From the 5 minutes. Here I sit today. 25 years. Blessed years. Not just 25 years. And this multimedia has given me the biggest opportunity. The biggest opportunity. I will not be ungrateful to them. Bigger. Though there are frustrations. If we want to talk about what the 25 years, the things that have been through. Happened. But at times I don't want to magnify the negatives. I want to magnify the positives. Because that is what will bring a change in somebody's life. And that is why even this 25 years, I am thankful to God. And I have put some other things together. In
the form of a book.
Yes.
So let's talk about the book. And before we delve there, it's amazing how time flies. Oh my God. Comfort Boafo is watching from Amsterdam, says that I'm blessed. Faustina Yamfo says that Bishop Yaw Owusu-Ansah, you've been a blessing to me and my family. Anna Enyan on Facebook says that we thank God for the life of Bishop Yaw Owusu-Ansah. Indeed, your life is a testimony, Bishop. Your life is a testimony. Echimana na Ansasa Sreku says that I was in that enclave last Tuesday watching you live from the Bauxite City, Ninahin. The name is Yaw Owusu-Ansah.
I schooled there.
He says his name is Yaw Owusu-Ansah. All right. Currency, Nana Edinkra says that our old boy, Daddy, is an inspiration to us, and forever he will be. I love him so much. May the blessings of God continue to reign on him. Akugre Daniel says, God bless you, man of God. Right then, many more messages. But I want us to talk about the book. So the 25 years journey, Bishop, inspired you to write this book, Don't Despise Little beginnings, maximizing little opportunities that come your way. And when is it going to be launched?
A week today, God willing. Week today, around this time, we have finished with it, and I'm home, relaxing, thanking God, because we will let it come out 4 o'clock.
Okay.
4 in the, is it afternoon or evening?
4 in the evening, let's say.
Is it evening?
They say it's evening.
Yeah. So 4 o'clock in at Dansumain Resurrection Power Living Bread Ministries.
Okay.
And my father's house. That is where I want to.
Okay.
I don't want to spend too much going for a place. We have a small place, so we do it over there.
That's not a small place, Bishop.
Yeah, by God's grace. It's some big places out there. So that is what we do, God willing.
Wow. I see.
Sunday coming 4 p.m. And so I want everybody that has followed me all these years, if you really appreciate what God has done, just come and get a copy of it and give it to any young person, anybody who is confused and disturbed, doesn't know what to do. I'm writing in English today. It is not because I've been to any school, but I've educated myself by reading books, reading, going to short courses, better myself up. Even when I don't do well, I go back and say, okay, let me check my tenses and other things.
That's it.
Finito. I don't need to bother myself about my English communication. All that I have to have is the knowledge.
The knowledge.
Knowing what I want to do and where I'm going. And I do that. And so you don't despise the little bit.
Well, it's been so inspiring. It's been so motivating. But you've made mention of names like Papa Mwako of blessed memory. I nearly said Bishop Kusichum.
I always call him Bishop, my presiding bishop.
Bishop presiding bishop.
He's my presiding bishop.
So Bishop Akwesi Asaribediako, Archbishop, yes, Archbishop Akwesi Asaribediako. You've mentioned the name of whom we affectionately call Katie. You know, here Kusichum, and Sam Menz and Mrs. Totobi Kwache. Who are the other people who have played a major role in your life, Bishop, as far as this journey is concerned?
Number one are my critics. In fact, at times when you
critics?
Yes, my critics. Your critics, if you get opportunity to pay your critics, at times you need to pay them. Because if they fail to criticize, you will know your weakness. At times their criticisms makes you feel useless and stupid, but at the end they are helping you to fill the gaps. So my critics, the first person who calls me and for me to read was a young lady. I have thrown away those letters. Who wrote to insult me.
Really?
And that you are not educated. The lady insulted me. But you see, for the first time, I was hurt. But then, after thinking through, I said, the person is telling you to read. So what is your problem? Go back and read. Read and read wide. So there was this company, Read Wide, and I will order books from them. I will order books, different kinds of Read Wide. Those years, I would just want to read. I just want to read to understand what is the talk about English. And so here I am. Any country, any town, any village that I go, I can now do my tree. I can now do my English. It is not the English that put a food on your table, but at least it gives you the opportunity to communicate to every human being anywhere, any town, any city. And so, why not? So, one of the group of people that I always want to pray for are my critics.
I see.
Yes. I've been criticized in so many angles. In my church, politically, I've been criticized, tagged with so many things. Some people came to my house to kill me. Thankfully to God, I was doing all believers all night. So it was my wife and my children that were there. And they thought that I was at the ceiling up there. About 26 or 36 bullets. They wanted to kill Yaw Owusu-Ansah. But I'm still alive. I've been warned not to come to station severally those years. But some men will call you. Osofu, baby, I will be on me move. There has been a signal that this and that will happen to you. But I'm still alive.
You've received all those threats, and yet
Threats upon threat.
Yet you persevered.
Yes.
And you've come this far.
Yes. So it is opportunity. And so I always want to leave a mark in the mind of anybody that I come across with. There are times when I hear people talking and insulting people in this country, I laugh. I say, oh, you guys, you don't know. Because we have what it takes. More than your insults, which bring transformation, metamorpho in the mind and in the hearts of people. And that is only the word of the Lord.
Right then, 5 minutes to the top of the hour, and this is where we are going to drop down the curtains. Bishop, I am going to take your peace message as we draw closer to the election. Ghana is going to the polls, but I would want you to in the next 2-3 minutes, give the nation your peace message, but I prefer you do that in Chi. In Chi.
Monye na munsusu na momopo emfa omanya medimo betena no. Munya adwempa ene akoma pa na momompa yanzo so mo ma no. Omani dia monsumu ebedi. We ye Jeremiah asemo nya meka kire no. Usisi adan ware na monhwe na monwene na momompai ema wo man omani di ya monso bedi enyansa pokasa eno nyame de ma odi for Jeremiah oman bia yetene mu a badwemme bia anse wo man badwemma oman a otimu onse no give oba onye badwemma so ye badwemma enyi sika enkose wo man ense wo nipa bia wo mo nipa bia ada moja bia nso kegu bia nso na tiase se moja no so ye hwan ni moja kasa moja ne be kasa ma won to so it is will be bo pass kokum will be esanse ukokuru mutia odi betim na nim no amadi tumi amana kwetena ekonya so a se bia kusa bia kronto se bia nyaado na onye badwemba badwemba bia ne hono mo a otena se mo obi mani sika e bono pass kokose obi na de nipa no obewi aso wo krao enunti ye beto abai masai ne medie enwo wadwenem masai nyansen wo tirim se ummo nipa da enti obi biara o petumi ne memma nipa no ense wadwene na imom koto aba de den se Paul kan Roman fon ma tidumi no se monfa mo nipa dua nsi ho se afode etiase ebrofo no ye mede present your bodies means if you with so eko count na say ukokuro moti we e ka ho a part of your bodies it would to abampo na to no wrongly you be judged one day kokuro moti a me kwa me wo ba ko so wo ba kun o to aba na wa anto ni ye wo gisika na de to aba nyame betua woka why because your body no you must present it as a living sacrifice.
On that note, it's been an exciting time on A Walk with Jesus, and my guest has been Bishop Yaw Owusu-Ansah. This is where we wrap up. Up next is Jazz on Joy with Uncle Ken. Make sure that your dial is still here. The book launch is happening, God willing, next week, Sunday. Make sure you call this number 055 852 4763 055 852 4763 for more information. It's happening at my father's house at Danso Man. All right then, many thanks to you, my cherished listener. God richly bless you. The Joy FM Christian Forum is going to be happening live. Keep your fingers crossed for it. It's going to be a wonderful time. You don't have to miss it. Now, this is where we wrap up on today's edition of A Walk with Jesus. My name is Atuaka. Many thanks to Michaela. Many thanks to AB for the production. God bless you.